Flying down from Nova Scotia today, I was looking at the country as I always do, and there was something wrong. There were no shell holes. There were no bomb craters. The bridges were all in. The houses still had roofs. The marshalling yards where you collect freight trains didn't look like junk heaps. It's all wrong. And it occurred to me how very fortunate you are that through our blood and your bonds, we crushed the Germans before he got here. Couldn't keep my mind on my work, really. But it was very thrilling. And I took it, I think, in the way it was intended. This great ovation of the people of Greater Boston was not for George Patton. George Patton
when Napoleon lay at Boulogne for a year with his flat-bottom boats and his grand army, he was told by someone, there are bitter weeds in England. There are certainly a great many more of them since the British Expeditionary Force returned. Sir, I have myself full confidence that if all do their duty, if nothing is neglected, and if the best arrangements are made, as they are being made, we shall prove ourselves once more able to defend our island home, to ride out the storm of war, and to outlive the menace of tyranny, if necessary for years, if necessary alone. At any rate, that is what we're going to try to do. That is the resolve of His Majesty's government, every man of them. That is the will of Parliament and the nation. The British Empire and the French Republic, linked together in their cause and in their need, will defend to the death their natives.
Kennedy made an emotional visit to Ireland. Charlie D'Agata shows us how JFK's ancestral homeland welcomed America's first Irish Catholic president like a returning son.
And here he comes.
The Emerald Isle was in black and white back then. The color footage came from the JFK library. But the Irish broadcaster, RTE, was barely a year old when a sitting American president, and an Irish one to boot, came to visit.
And here comes a ticker tape. This looks more like Wall Street. This is something so typical of the presidential parades in the United States.
For President Kennedy, it must have felt more like a homecoming parade.
I'm glad to be here. It took 115 years
was from the port town of New Ross that Kennedy's great-grandfather fled the famine and boarded a ship bound for America.
If he hadn't left, I'd be working over at the Albatross Company.
There were the official engagements, laying a wreath at a Dublin War Memorial and addressing Irish politicians. But the highlight of the visit came when he dropped in on his cousin Mary Ryan, who held a garden party in the grounds of the family home.
Local children formed a guard of honor between the house and the landing field, waiting impatiently.
Irish author Ryan Tuberty describes how the president beckoned stunned villagers to gather near.